Okay, it's true that we are looking at Tafawa Balewa as a person today, but is there people that we could make a comparison to him at the time who maybe at his age were vocal, were already like outspoken about or against even the colonial system, which he did or he did it?
The only people you can compare to, maybe people like Aminu Kano, right? Aminu Kano was, of course, he had a separate upbringing with Tafawa Balewa. His background was not as humble as Tafawa Balewa, so he could already speak out against what he terms injustice or unfair, or he was already vocal. His political style he was austere, but he was vocal. He was more in front. He was not afraid of being controversial or being dogged about pursuing his visions. But unlike Tafawa Balewa, he was somebody that literally almost played by the book. No cutting of corners. He was not too vocal. He wanted to solve issues and make sure everybody is at peace. Meanwhile, somebody like Aminu Kano just wanted the right thing to be done, even if somebody will be hurt. So if you look at their politics at power, and then even his boss now, his boss now, Sir Amadou Bello, he too also wanted peace, but he was more dogged and more unafraid to voice out his visions or aspirations, than Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. So even though he could see all of this, but he just remained himself all through. He never felt like, okay, let me switch and be like these people in order to achieve he just maintained the same status quo. His person is his person all through, him till his assassination. So that's the kind of person he.
All right. Now, do we know anything about his family at that time or even after his death that we can make mention of? So that after that, of course, soon we'll be moving into him personally. But do we remember anything about his family and maybe his children?
He had a wife and 3 children, and pretty much his kind of person. You won't see so much about them public. And then, of course, being a northerner with the Islamic religion and culture settings, they don't easily put out their, in the open like that. So you won't hear so much about, and I was very interested about this particular topic because, truly speaking, Amadou Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa is somebody that is not spoken well enough about. Like, you can hear more about Amadou Bello very well. You can hear more, but when it comes to the first Prime Minister of Nigeria, you won't hear so much about him, considering the kind of figure that he was and what he represented, being the first Prime Minister of Nigeria ever. Still, you won't hear so much about him that you hear about Sir Amadou Bello.
Is there a reason for that? Why we are not speaking so much about it? Instead, people are paying more attention to maybe people like Sir Amadou Bello and other eminent politicians?
Well, I will give my opinion as the reason. He was largely seen as how do I put it? Not to use the word a puppet. He was largely seen as somebody that was doing the bidding of his master. And his master was, of course, Amadou Bello, who was his Sardana of Sokoto that time, and he was more tipped to be Prime Minister of Nigeria ahead of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. But he chose to remain in the north because he felt he has more work to do in the north. And then he felt, I would rather push my contemporary or somebody I believe so much. And he's largely been seen like somebody that was busy doing the bidding of his masters, such that he was doing the bidding of the north through Sir Amadou Bello. And then they also felt, a lot of Nigerians and his contemporaries felt he was doing the bidding of the colonial masters also, even after independence, because they felt he was not, especially at his independence speech, where he was regarding the colonial masters first as masters, then as leaders, then as then as partners, then always as friends. They felt like he was not too quick to detach from them. Like he's still doing their bidding. He's still not, Nigeria didn't become a republic in 1963. They felt he was very slow and just being too much. So people don't regard him as a very strong-willed person in terms of galvanizing Nigerian unity. And so they just seemed like this guy was just busy trying to soft pedal and please his masters and just play along. So maybe it could be reason why people do not up to now give him so much regard as even his predecessor, his boss rather, that's Samuel Bello rather. So that really affected him.
All right. Now you are in Kano State. In Kano, yes. How do people look at Alhaji Tafawa Balewa? I mean, what is the common image of him among the Kano people?
Okay, there is respect, there's admiration, there is the wish that he lived out his tenure as prime minister. Then, like, they still wish that he was not assassinated. They wish to have seen him accomplish all he had before he stepped down or something. So there's still love and respect and admiration, and some politicians also wish they could run their affairs in his style, in his legacy, right? So there's no backlash against him at all. He's still highly respected and honored, except for the fact that, of course, he's not from Kano State, he's from Bauchi State. So they will feel that in as much as we respect him that much, he's here as a state to honor him more than us.
This is a simple Nigerians, the kind of image we want to have of him. How did he rose to prominence? I mean, can you tell us anything from how he rose from just ordinary Nigeria to the personality that he eventually became? Because becoming the first prime minister of Nigeria is not a simple calculation to make. So help us understand that.
All right. So for him now, initially growing up, he, just like I told you, he had no political ambitions. He was not looking forward to politics initially. After he graduated from the Katina College for Further Education, which is now Balewa College, when he graduated, he came back and started teaching in his state, in Bauchi State. All right, he was teaching in the middle school in Bauchi. Then he got selected to for a 1-year course at the University of London. He went there for a year and came back. And when he came back, he was still just interested in teaching. Then he became inspector of education. He was appointed inspector of education, then in Bauchi State. Now, while he was doing that, he started picking interest in politics. He formed a small, let me call it a circle now. He formed a little circle where they discussed political reforms. Like that was where he started. That was the beginning of his interest in politics. So he formed a circle where they discussed political reforms in the North and then in Nigeria at large. Now, it was while he was doing that he was selected to become a part of the Bauchi State House of Assembly that time. Then from there, as soon as he entered there, he was now selected again to join the Northern Legislative Council. From there, at the center now. So going to the center, that's the central government of Nigeria. It was from there that, people started saying, okay, this guy can actually, with the backing of Samuel Bello, he became a minister of works. That was around 1951, there about 52. He now became minister of transport again. Then from there, that was where he now, they ran the elections. NPC, which he also participated in formulating, they started as NPC is Northern People's Congress. They started as a cultural organization, later galvanized into a political party. They now put him up as their flag bearer. for the prime minister position, and then he now won. So that's how he rose gradually. He initially just wanted to be a teacher and just be around the education circle, but gradually people saw that he could lead, he was loyal, he was not no double standard, and then they kept selecting him like that. So that's how he rose.